1 minute warning. 1 minute warning.
Take control.
Yeah.
Are we live? Did we get the countdown from our guys?
We got a 1 minute.
Okay.
All right, please take your seats. We're going to start the meeting in a little bit here. That means you, Marcus. All right. Good morning and welcome to the September 11th Oregon Tourism Commission briefing. To everyone that has joined us here today in Yachats and to those joining through Travel Oregon's industry YouTube channel, thank you for taking the time to be with us. Today's meeting materials, including the agenda and supplemental material, can be found on the Travel Oregon industry website if you'd like to follow along. Commissioners, I'd like to acknowledge that in holding a meeting today, we met all public meeting notice requirements provided by state law. With that, I'd like to begin today by asking each commissioner to briefly introduce themselves, and we'll start with you, Commissioner Pendleton.
Thank you. Hi, my name is David Pendleton, owner of America's Hub Tours and Oregon Tour Experts, and I'm excited to be here. This is the best part for me of the commission is traveling around the state, getting to go to different communities and share the work that Travel Oregon does locally. I believe Bobby's here somewhere in the audience. I want to thank her and the local people for taking the initiative, whether it be the newspaper or getting information out to many of the business owners and residents that we're holding this meeting here. And I just want to tell you that I'm going to take a little time before I leave to go to some of the businesses and meet a few of them and say hello before I go.
Hi, my name is David Grummels. I am a commissioner at large, and I really have enjoyed my stay here and appreciate the hospitality shown by all here in Yachats, and truly grateful for the tour that was given to us by Drew of Overland Inn and Jesse, as well as the tour today by Chief Barrett and Joanne Kittle. It's really great to be here. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. My name is Travis Hill. I'm the Chief Operating Officer for Umpqua Indian Development Corporation, which is the corporate entity for the Cow Creek Band of Umpqua Tribe of Indians. Also, our flagship property is Seven Feathers Casino Resort. Great to be here in Yachats. Came over yesterday afternoon. Beautiful drive, and then had the opportunity with a tour and the hospitality of the Overleaf Hotel. And then this morning, a fantastic opportunity to listen to Chief Barrett speak about this Amanda Trail and kind of the history behind that. So good to be here. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Harish Patel. I own motel in Coos Bay and in Pendleton. It's just so nice to be here. It's like coming back home. I used to live in Florence and been to Yachats hundreds of times, and it's very nice. And I just met the city manager, Bobby, and we were talking about local people getting involved, and she said, well, she advertised in the local newspaper and invited the community. So thank you, Bobby.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Rowe. I own and operate Crater Lake Zipline and Kayak Adventures. I live in Klamath Falls. Love to come over and visit all of you here at the coast. One of the things that's so meaningful to me as we travel around the state when we are doing these meetings with all of you is just meeting people who do amazing things. I always aspire to be that person who could maybe make a connection between two other people who can do something else with two other people. And some of the people that we met today are just so inspiring. And thank you for having us here and sharing your community with us. I just appreciate it a lot.
Good afternoon, everyone. Scott Youngblood with Cascada Thermal Springs and Hotel in Portland, and preparing to break ground in 2020 6 on our project in Bend. It is such a joy to get to be on the Central Coast and specifically in Yachats. We're so grateful for the experiences that we've been given here and for the gracious welcome by the community. Thank you all so much.
Hi, Lucinda DeNovo, Director of Sales and Events for Coquel Casino Resort in Coos Bay and North Bend. And I too, Coos Bay, North Bend, and Medford. And I too want to thank Joanne and Chief Barrett for their time on the Amanda Trail. Joanne and her husband have been working on that trail with many volunteers for over 30 years. It's pretty remarkable considering the tribe was restored in 1984. So 10 years after restoration, Joanne and her husband and many volunteers began that work. So such a beautiful, beautiful morning spent with commissioners. And I love Yachats. I'm really glad to be here. So thank you.
Commissioners, my name is Greg Willits. I built, own, and manage Five Pine Lodge and Shibui Spa in lovely Sisters, Oregon. And everybody mentioned it today. It was an incredible hike we did with a lot of vested individuals sharing their passion with us for this memorial site. And it's really the best part of these meetings is meeting the people behind the energy and in the unique assets of communities like this. Thanks again. It was a beautiful morning. And Chief Barrett also allowed us to take home a new sticker. So it's covered up. There it is right there. I got the newest sticker there. And really passionate people, Chief Barrett, Joanna, and Shannon, who owns the home at the base of the trail, really shared a first-class tour with us and explanation of the atrocities of the past and the reason for the memorial. And thank you to Yachats for the warm welcome and wonderful food. I'm a big food person. All right. Today's briefing provides us with some extended time to hear from and engage with staff regarding topics that have been a focus area for Travel Oregon and Oregon's tourism industry. I'll now turn it over to Todd to introduce us to the topics and to the speakers.
Thank you, Chair Willits. Just as a point of personal privilege as we make this transition, I too would certainly acknowledge what I would call both inspiring and sobering morning that we had this morning. What we learned in terms of some of the history of Oregon that certainly for me, much of that was new. But to then see what's been done over the 30 years to then make sure that that was going to be commemorated and remembered into perpetuity. I also want to applaud the Commission on their willingness, their innovation, their devotion to the work that we do here, because it is your openness to being able to come into a community early, to be able to become immersed in the community, to learn some of the assets, to learn the culture and the history and the people of the various places that then make up this fabric that is Oregon's travel and tourism industry is very special. You don't just fly in, fly out. You come in, you make an investment of your own time to do that. And as volunteers serving on this commission, it is not lost on the members of the staff at Travel Oregon, and I know by many of the community members as well. And then I also applaud you for this briefing, because several years ago, we didn't do this. And the Commission said, we'd really like to have the opportunity to do deeper dives into some of these topics. And we would be willing to come in earlier and meet longer and add to that agenda so that we're able to do that. So these meetings, this briefing, and us being able to come into this community and get immersed in everything from the Amanda Trail, the tribal culture, and some really good fish and chips was pretty special. And Made even more so, if I may, because our server at the restaurant used to be the Florence Chamber Director, and she recognized me from when I first came to work at Travel Oregon, because she was there in 1993 at the Florence Chamber, and she had Harish on her board of directors. So the world got very small at lunch today. So with that, I'm going to introduce our first panel, because in that spirit of doing a deeper dive on some projects that are really putting Oregon on the map, it is my pleasure to ask Kate Sapel and Kevin Wright. Kate Sapel is the Regional Cooperative Tourism Program Manager at Travel Oregon. Kevin, of course, is our VP of Insights and Impact. You can both start making your way up here to, am I right? Nobody's moving. Are you waiting for the end of the intro? You want travel song? You want travel music? I could ask Scott to play a little music. He's probably got a little something. I'm so sorry. I didn't think of that before. That's rude. But to give us an update on something that we have been discussing with the commission for a little bit now, and that's our work with Wheel the World and what we're doing, especially with accessibility when it comes to accessing Oregon's magnificent places and businesses. So, Kate, Kevin, I'll turn it over to the two of you.
I think you threw some of the staff when you appointed me the VP of Insight and Impact. So the Insight and Impact team is upset.
Sorry, Petra. Sorry, Petra. Brand Stewart.
Well, good afternoon, commissioners. My name is Kate Sapel. I'm the manager on the Regional Cooperative Tourism Program on the Destination Stewardship team. Today, I will be sharing a bit about the work that we've been doing over the last year with the Wheel the World program, which has really occurred in two distinct phases. So I'll get into the assessments piece of the work, and then I will pass it over to Kevin to talk about how this is really manifested in community through a marketing campaign. So as I mentioned, we've been working with Wheel the World and partners across the state for the last year to earn Oregon a landmark designation to become the first state to be accessibility verified by Wheel the World. So this designation really elevates transparency and promotes inclusive travel for and experiences for people with both visible and non-visible disabilities. Our partnership with Wheel the World is a part of Travel Oregon's broader strategy to be a welcoming destination for all who come to visit. This milestone is the result of a coordinated statewide effort with many different partners and a ton of Travel Oregon staff and a cross-functional effort across the Travel Oregon team to evaluate, promote, and improve the accessibility of tourism businesses in all of 7 of Oregon's tourism regions across the state. Globally, an estimated 1.3 billion people, so that's 1 in 6, experience significant visible disabilities. When we include family members and caregivers, that number rises to 2 billion. And when we include non-visible disabilities, that's 60% of all people worldwide who are directly or indirectly affected. When we empower tourism providers to invest in accessibility, that not only creates economic opportunity, but it enables individuals with disabilities to travel in a way that respects their individual needs. We know that for many people's lived experiences, that legal compliance and ADA does not go far enough, and that when it comes to accessibility and achieving a genuinely welcoming experience, we need to be doing more in this space. This program is one way in which Oregon's tourism industry is attempting to move beyond this thinking and offer information for travelers and solutions for businesses. Okay, so I will talk a little bit about who Wheel the World is. They are an online travel agency with bookable product like hotels and attractions, and they also provide comprehensive accessibility information about businesses who are a part of their accessibility verified program, which is inclusive of restaurants, attractions, transit providers, and many other places that people go when they travel. Their mission is focused on improving accessibility in the travel and tourism industry, and they really do this by promoting accessible destinations and reducing barriers to information. So barriers can be anything that really prevent people with disabilities from fully participating in public life. So that could be stairs without ramps or illegible signage, assumptions or lack of awareness around specific disabilities. So Wheel the World provides this information across different accessibility needs, the goal being that people have the information that they need to make decisions for themselves when they travel. And really, Wheel the World does this through a comprehensive set of business assessments. And that's really been the core of the work that my team has been engaged in. So I'll dive into the partnership and what an assessment really looks like on the ground. Wheel the World has been working in Oregon since 2022. This started with a coordinated effort among DMO partners along the Oregon coast, under the leadership of the Oregon Coast Visitors Association, who applied for Travel Oregon's 2022 competitive small grant program. This really allowed those DMO partners, those DMO partners were funded through that grant program, and it allowed the coast to become accessibility verified as a region by Wheel the World. And then Central Oregon and Travel Portland followed suit. So from 2022 to 2024, there were about 500 businesses that were assessed prior to our direct involvement with Wheel the World and the development of this program. So just a massive shout out to those partners for really leading the way and allowing for Travel Oregon to step up in this space. So as a part of Travel Oregon's 2023-2025 biennial budget, the Oregon Tourism Commission allocated $400,000 for accessibility assessments. So the brand and destination stewardship teams came together and we developed a scope of work with Wheel the World to become the first state to be accessibility verified. This work really ties back to our 10-year strategic vision and our strategy that's specifically focused on developing experiences for underserved and underrepresented communities throughout Oregon. In November of 2024, Travel Oregon contracted with Wheel the World to assess 10 to 15 businesses in 21 communities across the state. And we decided to move forward with Wheel the World to do these assessments as they were already working in Oregon, as I mentioned, in those 3 regions. And we were really encouraged by the value that they added as a trusted resource for travelers. We also saw an opportunity to amplify and really leverage that work that was manifesting in community, while broadening those points of interest across the state beyond those 3 regions. So as we know, access to detailed and reliable site information is the single most important factor for travelers with disabilities. Just a lot of content here. A little bit more about the partnership. So we socialized this idea with our accessibility learning community group, which is convened quarterly by my team and includes RDMOs and Travel Oregon staff, where we can share best practices and really update one another on programs and projects that are happening across the state. This iteration of the assessment program really honed Wheel the World's website. As a part of this partnership, Travel Oregon is also covering 2 years of partnership fees for all Oregon assessed communities. So those are all the previously assessed communities and then everyone that was brought on with this program. Yeah, so this map shows the previously assessed communities with the stars in gray and then the actively assessed communities in the stars in black. So here you can see the list of all of the 21 communities that were a part of this specific iteration of the program. So through this coordinated statewide effort, plus those previously locally driven efforts, Wheel the World has now assessed over 750 hotels, attractions, restaurants, and tourism businesses throughout the state and all of Travel Oregon's welcome centers. And that's in total 43 communities across the state and more coming online. And just wanted to call out all of the 8 welcome centers that were a part of this program. All of those welcome center staff are now moving through with their Wheel the World Training Academy and really leveraging those resources that are available. So wanted to talk a little bit more about the destination benefits and how this really looks for those folks who are getting those assessments. So at a high level, those businesses, again, receive a report, access to training, and then they're elevated among Wheel the World's diverse audiences. So how do these reports manifest? On the ground, Wheel the World assessors or mappers They go in and visit a business and measure for a variety of different data points. This information is then compiled into a comprehensive report with an accessibility score, showing the strengths and any areas of improvement and really how to get there. And then with permission, those measurements, photos, data points are then published and uploaded onto Wheel the World's website on a dedicated landing page for that business. And then all participants, again, receive access to Wheel the World's Training Academy, which really increases awareness of disability inclusion best practices for those participants. As a next step, we plan to survey those businesses who have been a part of the program just to understand understand a little bit more about their participation in the program, whether or not they've taken the training, how those reports are really landing for them, and whether or not there are any barriers to implementing some of those changes. So wanted to show a little bit about the user experience on wheeltheworld.com. These pages are actively being edited right now before the campaign launch. So we just wanted to show you all kind of how this looks. But we'll have an Oregon State landing page on wheeltheworld.com with a hero film that captures all 7 regions, as well as links out to those 7 regional landing pages with testimonials from travelers, and then links out to Travel Oregon's consumer accessibility landing page. And then we'll drop deeper into content and shift into those regional pages. So for example, here's the Southern Oregon regional landing page. So folks coming to that site can view the Southern Oregon film and see all of the verified destinations and those businesses. And from here, visitors to the site can dive deeper into the community pages. So those are the DMO pages. So we've used Discover Klamath as an example here, where you can see the additional pages to those verified businesses. So hotels, activities, restaurants, and a bit more about the destination and what to expect when you're there. Great, and I will pass it to Kevin.
Thanks, Kate.
Yeah.
Test, can you hear me? All right. For the record, I'm Kevin Wright, Vice President of Brand Stewardship. And I am excited to share how we plan to get the word out that Oregon is the first state in the world to be accessibility verified. Before I dive in, I want to call out this project as a case study for collaboration. We had multiple departments, if not all of the departments at Travel Oregon, working with the regional and the local DMOs and Wheel the World to bring this program to life, and it's been really amazing to be a part of this project. As Kate mentioned, this project supports our strategic objective of developing experiences for underserved and underrepresented communities throughout Oregon, but it also supports 3 other strategic objectives in our plan: elevate voices of underserved communities, support welcoming destinations by engaging industry partners, and increasing demand by engaging diverse audiences. I've said this when I present on this topic, but really this work represents an intersection of moral and economic opportunity. Kate mentioned 16% of the population lives with a visible disability. In the U.S., that represents 26 million travelers taking 77 million trips, spending $50 billion a year. And as I think Kate mentioned this too, but add in caregivers and people with invisible disabilities, and that number jumps to 60% of the population. And the research that we've seen suggests that economic impact of these travelers could easily triple if visitors felt confident and comfortable knowing what to expect and that they'd be welcome. So our goal with this campaign is to position Oregon as a welcoming destination for accessible travel. Our Accessibility Verified designation highlights over 43 communities in all 7 regions across the state that are offering 15 or more accessible tourism experience within each community. We designed our marketing approach in collaboration with Wheel the World. Our role, Travel Oregon, is to build brand awareness around this new designation and inspire travel by driving audiences to our accessible itineraries on TravelOregon.com. Wheel the World's role is to convert that inspiration into action. They're going to engage the accessibility community through social media and their e-newsletter subscribers, taking them deeper into the consumer funnel by featuring bookable experiences and regional itineraries. The campaign features 8 video assets. We'll have an overarching, what we call an umbrella video or an anthem video, will drive general awareness of the new designation and promote the idea that the entire state is accessible. The remaining 7 videos will highlight individual regions, each featuring an influencer with a disability, including mobility, blindness, deaf, neurodivergence, and to authentically represent these experiences. On September 22nd, 2 weeks, all videos and itineraries will go live on Travel Oregon and Wheel the World's platforms. Following the launch, we'll roll out assets via Wheel the World's channels, driving traffic to the region-specific booking pages that Kate showed on their website, and they'll be promoting, so Travel Oregon will be promoting, Wheel the World will be promoting, and we had individual influencers going to each of the regions to help us make the videos. They're going to be promoting it on their individual channels as well. While Wheel the World's paid efforts will focus on our most familiar markets to drive deeper awareness and bookings as the videos roll out, Travel Oregon is going to utilize, we'll focus on the umbrella video and the still images and our paid promotions within Meta and YouTube to expand markets, to build awareness, and share the great news that accessibility happens here. We'll also include awareness ads in our ongoing year-round campaigns so even more people will hear about this news. As we've built out our media campaign, we've stayed close with our regional partners and offered coordination to enhance any media buys behind specific assets for their specific weeks. Obviously, our regional partners will be able to utilize these assets to amplify the campaigns throughout the campaign or during a specific week launch. I think we launch on the 15th. All of these assets will have a really robust toolkit on our industry page. That launches on the 15th, so all the assets will be there so our partners can utilize those as well. Also on September 22nd, we're working with our communications team to kick off a major PR push. Our strategy is to leverage the remarkable story of our campaign talent from Central Oregon, Kylie Bays. For years, Kylie endured an unexplained pain until she was 21. She was diagnosed with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes joint location and hypermobility, meaning like your joints don't stay in. And she was wanting to be a dancer, and so that kind of left her pretty devastated. She wasn't able to fulfill her dream to be a dancer. And the diagnosis also made her question if she could ever travel and enjoy the outdoors again. But Kaylee was determined, and she recently had an incredible experience in Oregon where she went kayaking, hiking, and enjoyed our dark skies. And we're partnering with her to share her powerful story with national broadcast and print media, as well as why Oregon becoming the first verified accessible state is important. She'll be one of our on-camera spokespeople alongside Travel Oregon reps as needed. The campaign call to action will drive visitors to Travel Oregon's newly updated accessibility landing page, which you can see on the left here. Still work in progress. This is a draft. We're currently updating this page to tout the new accessibility verified designation, and it will contain all of our trip recommendations, itineraries for accessible travelers. And then on the right is an example of a location that has undergone the accessibility verified designation. This is, again, another draft page, but you'll see how this will look, whether it's a hotel or an attraction or a listing. There'll be a direct link at the top of the page to the Wheel the World page where you can go down. What is it? I think they have 250 pieces of information for each of these properties. So if people want that level of information, they can get that on their page. And then they'll have the accessibility verified logo below. And the direct link to Wheel the World's listing allows the traveler to get all of that information. And here are just some behind the scenes from, this is a monumental production. We had, I think, 24 days, covered all 7 regions. We had 13 influencers engaged, creating these 8 videos, and 496 still images that are quality enough that we can use in our media. And these are just a few. Some of them are shots, some of them are behind the scenes images from the production shoots. Pulled one from each region here. This one was pretty amazing. I don't have this video. We have like 5 of the videos are done. 2 are almost complete. I'm going to share a couple that are done. This is not one of them. Squirmy and Grubs, they're influencers. They're a couple. This guy, this wheelchair, I mean, has to weigh I wish I knew, 800 pounds. They had him climb an old growth tree, and the rigging and what they did to make this happen is pretty incredible. He's already posted the video that they made on their site, and if anybody wants to see it, I can point you to it. It's pretty incredible what they did. These are some print images or still images that we'll use kind of like ads, print ads. And then, so for next steps, we're still, like you heard, we're in the home stretch. We're launching on the 22nd. We're still actively working on a few things to ensure the success of the campaign and make sure we understand the impact on the communities, how the communities are feeling about it. So the next steps you'll see here, launching that industry site, which will be on the 15th, with accessibility resources for the tourism industry, assets for our partners. Integrating all of the verified businesses into OTIS, the Oregon Tourism Information System. Partnering and sharing Wheel the World's training program. The offering is valuable to all, we want to be able to get the word out that all businesses, DMOs, and staff can take this training. As Kate had mentioned, surveying the verified businesses to better understand the impact on their business and any barriers that exist to implementing the program. And we're negotiating rates, an Oregon rate for any new business or communities that want to join the program. And I just want to reiterate kind of what I said at the beginning, and that is every team at Travel Oregon touches project in some capacity, brand, destination, integrated, comms. And I want to give a special shout out to our procurement and finance folks who are always behind the scenes. They don't get to sit up here and share fun videos like I get to do. But they're the ones making this happen. These contracts were very unique. We've never done anything like this. So I just want to give a special shout out to the procurement team for helping us. We couldn't do any of this without those guys. And a special thank you to the RDMOs and our DMO partners across the state. And I want to give a special shout out to Erica. Kate had mentioned how ACFA was a leader in this space. And Erica, I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, we went to Travelability. Erica had 8 DMO partners, and I sat with them and watched them get so fired up about the opportunities. I think they saw that crossroads, and they came back and just started moving. And it's pretty cool to see where we're at here with Erica kind of getting that going. So I want to call her out. I also want to call out Christine McConnell and Lisa, who have been working hard to get that Travelability conference to Oregon for probably about the same time, 2 or 3 years ago. And they got it. And so if you'd like to find out more about the opportunities and be inspired to do some of this work, I would ask you to take a look at the Travelability Conference. It's in Sun River, October 13th through the 15th. It's a pretty awesome group of folks who are really trying to make travel more accessible throughout the country. And with that, I'm going to share our umbrella video, and I'll share our coastal video as well. Let's start with the umbrella one. Oh, I think I do it. We'll see.
Oregon. We have a bit of everything. Coastline, forests, mountains, high desert, waterfalls, breweries, unforgettable cuisine, even famous bookstores. And now, Oregon is the first state to be verified by Wheel the World, a global platform for planning and booking accessible travel. That means it's welcoming to all. If you use a wheelchair, a cane, or a walker, if you're deaf, blind, or neurodiverse, whatever your access needs are, you can actually plan a trip knowing what to expect. Real information, real access, no guesswork.
Look at that mountain!
And once you're here, you're paddling lakes, taking in Monet, ziplining by national parks, even leveling up your rodeo fit. In fact, you can climb an old growth tree, road trip along the coast, and relax at a world-class winery all in one weekend.
Distant Hills, that's the Coast Range.
Oregon's rugged, creative, rich in flavor. And now, alongside Wheel the World, it's opening its doors a little wider to everyone.
And I'll also, if we have time, I will show you one of our regional ones. Of course, we'll show the coast.
Accessibility for me does not mean that I'm no longer disabled, but rather that I can experience the world in full with my disability. Wow! That's so cool. We wanted to visit Oregon because there were so many accessible activities, and we wanted to come see it for ourselves. In all of our years of traveling, I've learned that you need to plan ahead and you need to expect problems for everyone, like even if you don't have a disability. One of the biggest barriers that we still face when traveling is the uncertainty of accessibility in a new location. When I get inside in my wheelchair, will there be a taxi? Will the hotel have an accessible bathroom for me? Real the World removes all of that uncertainty for you. They go to locations and scout them out and map all of the accessible places there so that when you go there, you don't have to worry if a place is going to be accessible. All right, Hannah, you're going to put me in the shark's mouth.
I'm not doing that.
Real the World and Travel Oregon enable people with disability to experience true freedom while they're traveling. And I think that is an amazing thing. As we traveled along the coast, there were so many different areas where I was able to get right up in the thick of nature, right in my wheelchair, and that is not always the case. Being able to really feel like I was out there experiencing nature in its fullest form was really a special thing for me and Hannah. Real the World has been integral in helping Oregon to map out the accessibility and improve the accessibility in so many places around the state. For us, that has meant a trip that was completely stress-free. I should probably do it, really. On this trip to Oregon, Hannah and I have seen firsthand how special it can be when a destination prioritizes accessibility for all people. We've been doing things that we never fathomed we would do because Travel Oregon has taken the time to really be mindful of making everything accessible for as many people as they can. Perfect.
Any questions?
Well, thank you, guys. I have one quick question. Did you go back into these restaurants and hotels and attractions and see modifications after inspection and use yet?
We have not gone back into businesses. I think that's part of the follow-up survey that we want to have with those businesses to re-engage and kind of figure out like how the reports are manifesting in those businesses and whether or not new infrastructure is being developed and how they're processing those. So we definitely anticipate reporting back on that in the future.
Yeah, thank you. Inspirational stuff. And I know a lot of energy and time went into this, and it's presented in little blips, but I know it was a lot of work. Thank you. Commissioners?
Yes, Kevin, Katie, thanks. What a great presentation. I'm actually excited about this work. I think it's the right thing to do. But I also understand that this does require a big investment if we want to do it and do it right, okay? So I assume we're just moving to that first phase of it because, in my mind, I'm thinking, what does our investment really imply? So my question to you, a couple questions is, number one, if no other state has this certification, have we had any contact with any other countries that do have this or destinations that do have this certification and are look at their marketing plans as well? The other question I have for you is that here, you mentioned the 10 to 15 businesses. Were they just all tourism-related business, or were they some tourism and some other sectors as well because I see an opportunity here, and maybe you've already started moving this direction, but, you know, when I think of the other sectors here in the state, what a great opportunity to really work to collaborate and you know, create something that's more sustainable long term. I think there's value there, and I guess that's my question to you: is because are we looking to collaborate and you know take advantage of the synergies there of working with other sectors as well long term in this work, because this is a huge investment, and I don't expect any return within the first year or two. Am I wrong?
I'll start. There's a few questions in there. I think you know, our approach is trying to set a base. You know, you had, like Kate had mentioned, you got this community's doing it. Then we had some other communities using other vendors, and it was like, can we, like, our goal really was to just start a base, like a level, like we have this level, something that we can hang our hat on that we're going to communicate to visitors. So, and I'll let Kate maybe speak to like the types of visitor, but like the other angle or strategy, if you will, is we want to build a program that like we don't necessarily own this forever. We built it and we're negotiating rates for the either a DMO or an RDMO or an individual business, that this thing can grow on its own without us having to, you know, what we did was kind of set the stage. And so our hope is that we're building this program and it can grow organically. So we got to watch and see how it grows. And then as far as others, we're the first. There's cities, and that was kind of the idea. I think it was Tampa. Tampa was the first city in the country to do this. Okay. And I was sitting with Wheel of the World. I was like, what about a state? Could we do it as a state? And so we're the first besides a city. So we don't, I mean, it would be interesting to call Tampa, because they're maybe a year ahead of us in this space, and see the learnings that they've got from this. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about your question around different sectors. I think when we were assessing with our RDMO and DMO partners kind of how to select those businesses, thinking about the holistic experience was something that was considered. So looking at transit providers was something that we know is definitely a barrier for folks with disabilities when they're traveling. So we wanted to include some of those folks in the assessment. So in the Mount Hood Gorge region, for example, we have Sasquatch shuttles that was assessed, and in some other regions kind of focused on those different sectors, and then broadening kind of beyond hotels and attractions, which are great to have, and also people want access to outdoor recreation. So I think, yeah, some of our other partners have begun that work with folks like Blue Path, they're another vendor. So this is definitely additive to work that was already happening in region with some of those other organizations. So our partners are definitely doing some of that work already.
Okay, well that's good to hear, because, you know, I think of, like, in Oregon, you think of the top 3 or 5, sectors here, like an Intel or an Ag, what have you. It just seems like there's a huge opportunity there. Kevin, when I touched on the, what does our investment implies, the organic piece makes me a little nervous, because I think if we're going to go down this path, we have to be fully committed and truly understand, whether it be from a budget standpoint and or what we need to get done, because it does align with our vision and priorities that we laid out. So.
Yeah, and maybe organic wasn't the word. I think the idea is that you want to build something that, like, the industry can grow. Like, we're in it, right? Mm-hmm. And it'll be interesting to see in the first 6 months to a year. Our expectations are low as far as bookings and things like that. But our goal, like I've talked to Kevney about this, is how do we build this so that it can grow? Like, we don't have to do every city. Like, imagine if this thing just could explode without us. I mean, that would be ideal, right? It's like this thing can just go. We've built the platform, and this thing can go. And maybe we're going into another sector. What? Okay, we can go work on this zone. But the hope is that this thing can grow, but we got to see. So we've built a 2-year runway now that now Wheel the World needs to work with all of these partners. Oh, we got more cities, let's grow this. And we're obviously going to be there, but we've got that 2-year runway to see we want to make this work and that more and more communities are hopping on.
Yeah, Kate and Kevin, a great presentation, really touching. And I also want to compliment the marketing with the taglines, Oregon accessibility happens here. That's fantastic. And adventure is for everyone. Yeah, really great. I just wondered, 2 questions. We have 750, if I heard that correctly, businesses, attractions, and tourism visitor centers that are engaged. Do we have our sights on a goal? I don't know if there's a goal out there, but I was just curious. And the second question was, the survey, I imagine, is administered by Wheels to the World, but maybe not.
It will be administered by us.
Oh, it
Yeah.
was. Wow, that's a huge undertaking.
Yeah, we've developed the survey with our strategy and research team, and then wanted to make sure that all of the businesses have those reports in hand and have maybe had the opportunity to process them and perhaps like take the training because all of this has happened so quickly. So want to give a little bit of a runway before we send that out, but fully plan on sending that out in November, and that will go out to all of those, the 750 businesses. So hoping to get a little bit of a read on going back to 2022, so those businesses that got their reports during that time on the Oregon coast, kind of the differences and distinctions between the businesses that have been assessed now versus then, and just kind of seeing how the impacts are felt on the ground.
That's great.
Yeah.
I look forward to that follow-up and hearing about those impacts.
Absolutely.
And thank you. And thank you for the work.
I like your question about the goal. We've been working so hard for the last, year and a half to get this percentage of properties that Wheel the World could put that designation on. So that's been the goal today. But now that we're launching this in a couple of weeks, what is the goal? It kind of goes to David. What is the next iteration of this?
Right.
Yeah.
If I can, just another quick question. Does Wheels to the World do on-the-ground auditing occasionally, or is that even a part of it with those who have been surveyed as well as trained? Is there that in our future horizon?
Are you asking
or
if they
vision?
go back into the business and?
Yes.
Oh.
And being from a food background, I'm very accustomed to
Yeah. No, that makes
regulators and certifiers and auditors, and I wondered if there's an opportunity for that as well, to just increase the bar of and increase that visibility. Just something to put out there.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. I don't believe that they go back into businesses and kind of reevaluate.
Yeah.
Yeah, but thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the work.
They give you that report too in those businesses when if they are working towards, it's on them, I think the individual business, or perhaps it goes through the DMO, but if they make a change, they can go in themselves and say, hey, we now have a ramp here, so they can update their listings and their data. Yeah.
So there is that transparency. Yeah, that's great. Again, great work. Thank you.
Vice Chair Patel.
Now, we did this because it's the right thing to do, but now that it's done, is it appropriate to brag that we are the first one in our marketing?
That's the idea.
And they will.
Great job. I want to call out ACVA because I think they, and you did too, brought this to life. And so it's so nice to see where we sit today. I agree. Thank you for your comments and always reminding us why we do the work that we do. So this is totally in line with our 10-year strategic vision. So thank you. And it is indeed the right thing to do. My question was, saying that we're the first verified accessible state, what was the bar? Was it 600 businesses? Was it 500 businesses? What does that look like?
Oh gosh, it was a percentage. I think we did a percentage within each region. It was the first step. I had our lodging listings for the state, and then Michael was helping me work with them. And I want to say we had a percentage. It was like 7% within each region that we worked with Wheel the World to say, all right, we feel we've got enough volume of attractions and hotels, and that's how we got to. We worked backwards from that to get to 43 communities. I think we had 21, and then we did all that backwards math to say, all right, this is how we feel we can hang our hat and feel good telling visitors that we have accessible points of interest within all 7 of the regions. I just don't remember what the percentage of them were.
No, that's great, and thank you to Travel Oregon. Our property is one that was went through that process, and we do get the report that tells us, you're nervous when you open it, and it's like, oh, we did okay, right? And so, but there are things for us to work on, and so I was really fortunate that Travel Oregon gave ACFA the grant that then gave the DMO and our community the grant, and ultimately a lot of the businesses participated. So great work. Thank you for sitting at that table and not settling for a city, but rather a state being accessible to all. So I really appreciate, as always, all the work that you do. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Willits. Wow. Kate and Kevin, thank you first for the presentation. You used a turn of phrase, and I should have but did not write it down. It was moral and something.
Economic.
Moral and economic. I wrote virtuous and strategic. We've talked at length about the virtue, about the morality of this and how it supports our 10-year strategic vision and our values as a broad community. But in terms of that strategic element, in terms of that economic element, this is not just an Oregon story. This is a uniquely Travel Oregon story. We've seen over the years this imitation is the sincerest form of flattery thing. We've got multiple wonders in our state. Let's do a campaign like Travel Oregon did. Animation, let's do animation. But strategically, this is a uniquely Travel Oregon story, maybe for reasons that you already stated. And so I apologize for the redundancy, but I think that it's worthwhile to call out. To have an organization as deep and structurally proficient as Travel Oregon, if you think of the grants participation, if you think of the contracting, if you think of the finance components of this, if you look at the marketing and the huge vision that it takes to say we could own market share that no other state could compete with. Even if another state had the physical capacity, even if they had the moral high ground that we get to claim in this, to have the organization of components in the unique organism that Travel Oregon is, to be able to do all of this work and to be able to create a foundation that is then replicable and scalable. It makes financial sense for Wheel the World because now they have market penetration, and so it becomes easier and less expensive for them to assess sites and do work in Oregon, so the economics of it benefit them. Obviously, it becomes more approachable and accessible, pun partially intended, for Oregon businesses to join and participate and get to benefit from this. And it really does create a strategic economic posture that's, I don't know how another state could replicate this. And so the courage, the organization, the vision, and the boots on the ground work that have gone into getting us this far with this certification is just stunning. And then to be able to see creative assets like these that celebrate it and make it approachable for people and tug at the heartstrings in the way that they do, I should have, instead of everything that I just said, I should have just said, wow, you guys, oh my God, wow. That's what I meant to say.
It feels like the right place for the state to play when you see partners doing great works in pockets, and we can come in and be like, let's take that and scale it and make it big. That feels like where we should play. And also, like, the economics, you should, like, the numbers, like Kate mentioned them and I mentioned them, but the opportunity is huge. I mean, we're not even talking about just baby boomers and the aging population. Like, building infrastructure around this is going to be an economic benefit to our state and our residents.
Jen.
So we were also able to participate at our business, which was, if I'm being completely transparent, a little bit scary, because I thought, okay, we're a zip line, or how do you make that accessible? But what was so exciting for us from when the person came out to do the assessment, we were just like on information gathering. Oh, well, we never thought of that. Okay, so yeah, we could put a ramp in there, or oh, well, sure, of course we can take someone who's blind, and here's how we do it. Does that seem okay? And because the blind people we've taken said it was fine, and so just to even just have them saying, yes, that's great, you're doing that right, or have you thought of this, or tweak that, and it was very empowering for us to be able to know, okay, we are getting some things right, but oh yes, okay, there's some things we could tweak and change. And then the next piece of it is, with their website and the connection with Travel Oregon, the ability to get information out to consumers and visitors who don't know, they might not even think to ask, well, I'm deaf, can I go? How do I do that with you? I'm blind, how do I do that with you? Or some of these other situations that we don't think of because we're not presented with them every day. And so I've just really appreciated that piece as a business, to be able to know that we can get information out there and tell people, yes, you can go, yes, you can do this, and here's how we do it. And so thank you for being wow, like Scott said, and ahead of the game and ahead of the curve, and just making this available for people. It's pretty great.
One of the things, I mean, it's just a bullet on that next step slides, but the training that Wheel the World has available, like that's a next one of our next steps. Is, I know our Welcome Center has already done it and got their certificates, and so we want to talk to them and see what that experience, and like start pushing it to the industry to say, this is free. It's 45 minutes, anybody in your staff, and just the one-on-one and the education and the aha. Because it can be intimidating, I think, if you're frontline and you're not trained and someone comes in who's deaf or has a disability, and just kind of getting rid of some of the anxiety that can come with that, just like going through that training and education. I'm excited about that piece that's to come.
Yeah, well, and Kate, you're spot on. I appreciate you waiting until November, because now that the busy season is over, a few more people can get the training done. So, good job.
All right, Kate and Kevin, thank you so much. Commissioners, great comments. Thank you. Todd?
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Willits. Yeah, Kate, Kevin, thank you. Kevin, you can keep your job as VP of Brand Stewardship. I don't know who's happier, you or Petra, but thank you both very, very much. I got to tell you, the couple of themes that really punched through for me, and it certainly came through in the commissioner's comments, is that this was, whether we're talking moral and economic or virtuous and strategic, this was both a whole of the agency and a whole of the industry that made this thing happen. You both touched on beautifully how every functional team within Travel Oregon in some way has touched on this work, from contracts and procurement, finance and accounting, all the way through. And as you also noted, and Lucinda, I know you emphasized how that initial spark was the work ACVA was doing. And we say in our 10-year strategic vision that our role as a destination stewardship organization means that sometimes we lead, but it also means sometimes we humbly follow and learn from those who are doing this work at a local or a regional level. And we did. And we were inspired by what was going on here on the coast and came in, we learned, and then, as you noted, Kevin, we scaled it. And in a truly Travel Oregon way. So anyway, thank you for the comments. Those, you know, it truly is one of those textbook examples of how powerful this industry can be when we're all kind of pulling on the same end of the rope. So well done. Thank you both for the presentation. So, all right, commissioners, next up, to talk about some of the technical assistance and investments that we're making within our destination services team. Staj Olson, who is our destination services manager, is going to give us an update on Destination Ready 2.0. So.
Good afternoon. Oh, is this on? Okay. Good afternoon, commissioners. As Todd shared, I'm Nastasia Olson, and I am a destination services manager on our destination services team within our destination stewardship department. So I'm just excited to be here. I've not presented in front of the commission in quite a long time, so thank you for the opportunity to share about this program and specifically some of the projects and the ways that we've supported the technical assistance, helping these projects come to life, and the investments that we've made in them. So a bit of background on this program. Really, I'm kind of going backwards here, so I'll share about that in a minute. But so in 2020, as you all recall, Oregon communities were faced with many challenges. We were experiencing COVID, the pandemic. We had really big wildfires that year, and there was a lot of social unrest. And so to address some of these challenges, and in response to that, we launched a program called Destination Ready. And it was really a way to provide what we believe to be these kind of quicker destination assessments. Some of these engagements that we had traditionally done on our destination services and development team to, engage a community, assess their visitor lures, assess their key visitor experiences, and really help them understand what are some of those priority projects and maybe short-term or medium-term ways that you could develop those more or enhance them to kind of take advantage. And so really it was in response to those challenges to focus on recovery and resiliency and to look at those quick win, potentially quick win-ish projects that they could dive into. And so with that, we saw early success in the program in 2021, and we were able to relaunch the program again in late 2021, hence the 2.0. And really with this 2.0 iteration, we were really able to provide what was kind of a second phase to those assessments. So not only were we going in, helping them do that planning with all their partners and assess those priority projects, but then we were able to come back and follow up and really support them in helping them with technical assistance, the project implementation, and the investments to actually see those projects get off the ground. And so you may be wondering why I'm presenting on a program that was launched in 2021. It is 2025. So the reason why is because following up with communities and doing that work to really help them get those projects off the ground, provide that capacity, some of that extra level of support and that technical assistance and the funding, it can just take time, right? So even when a project may feel somewhat quick win or it's called a short term or medium term, it can still take a couple years. It can almost even take a year just to plan it and how do we start it. So that's why I'm presenting today, which it may feel like it was, kind of old news. So with that, there was 11 communities and DMOs that were awarded into the program in 2021 at the 2.0 cycle. They represented every region across the state. Obviously, there was 11, so there was some regions had a couple more than others. And Again, I'm not going to be focusing really on the first phase of the program, but much more on the projects specifically. And for the sake of time, I will not be talking about all of the projects today, but just a few to highlight for you. But what you can see here as well is the number was a little bit more than $387,000 that we invested actual dollars into the projects, and that was through consultants that we managed and hard costs, and that does not account for like staff time. And that was over 2022, 2024. And you can see out of these, there was 12 projects, and there was a diversity of projects ranging from outdoor recreation, water access, new trail development, to looking at wayfinding and signage and doing stewardship planning. So a full breadth of different types of projects that we worked on. And this 5 of the regions are represented here. So out of the 11 awardees, not every community actually even had the capacity at the time to delve into their project at a deeper level with us. So we were able to choose some projects that were prioritized. So you can see kind of there's a smattering here. Okay, so with that, one of the first projects I wanted to share about was Harney County. They identified they really wanted to better showcase the diversity of amazing outdoor recreation assets they have in a hyper-localized way, really to elevate them as a DMO and working with their outdoor recreation partners and their federal land managers and other partners to really be that voice and come together of what they have out there. People were wanting to recreate, distanced. They have a lot of land out there. They have amazing opportunities, but they really felt like they hadn't had a place where that was all showcased well. And with that, like I said, hyper-local information where you really are getting into, what type of permits do you need, when, and where do you get them? What roads might be closed certain types of year? How do you truly responsibly recreate here as a visitor? And so what was neat about this project, just to highlight as well, is this is another program that we were able to tap into at Travel Oregon. So this is actually a branded program that we've developed. And so 3 other communities within the Destination Ready program were also able to tap into this. So I'm just sharing this one. But so as you can see here, I mentioned the partners. You can see a project like this in these communities can actually take about a year. It's pretty in-depth. You're doing a lot of engagement. Again, really leaning on the locals to provide that true, authentic information that they want to share. And then printing, distribution, that's been happening for several years after as well. And so you can see the technical assistance that we provide as really, like I said, managing those contracts, developing the scope of works, overseeing the project in totality, really supporting the destination, the DMOs on the ground, developing those relationships with those federal partners, things like that they might not have necessarily done much of before. So in total, it was around a $47,000 investment. That's all the way from the map maker to the copywriter to the printing, distribution, again, for a couple of years after that. So like I was mentioning, what's great about this, that they were also tapping into this larger program, is now we have 11 destination maps representing places all over Oregon. These can be found for free at welcome centers, interstate rest areas, hotels, attractions. There's hundreds of thousands of them are printed and distributed. So it's a really amazing resource for our state. And I was diving into some of the numbers yesterday, actually at the RDMO presentation, and reminded that I didn't have it in this slide, but over 40% of Oregon visitors choose printed materials, and 69% of those folks say that maps are actually the most important resource to them. So even in this digital age where you might be questioning, like, why are we investing so much in these? It's actually really important to not only our local communities, but truly to our visitors. Okay, so a different project I wanted to touch on quickly was the Dollar Mountain Trail System development. This is in Grants Pass. The city had recently acquired 450 acres of city land that was connected to downtown. And they were, I think that had taken several years, but it was really prioritized as a part of this destination ready process, that they had this vision and wanted this to be one of their key projects to continue to invest in tourism, economic development in their community. So we had this vision to develop 15 miles of this high quality hiking, accessible biking trails, and through this process of supporting them, helping them bring some of these key partners involved, we were able to quickly identify that actually this 450 acres abutted against 750 acres of BLM land that had never had like public access really to it. So it was a way to unlock this much bigger recreational experience that could happen there. And so you can see we worked on this. Our portion of it was really for 6 months, again, helping bring the technical consultants along, do that scope of work development, managing the contracts. We were able to recommend grants to apply to, write letters of support, meet with the press, all sorts of things. And so with that, we invested $35,000 really on the design for both of those parcels, so for the city, and then we were able to do the BLM parcel. And what was so great about this project is there was a lot of momentum, and really quickly they were able to receive a $350,000 grant with state parks as a local government grant for construction of the trails and of a parking lot. And they've been able to continue to find additional funds. And this trail system now is 25 miles, and I think it is actually opening in like a month or two. So there's already a couple miles done, and then now folks can go and hike it and bike it literally from downtown Grants Pass, and it's very accessible. So, and there's a parking lot and everything. So pretty amazing to show how these little investments and these little seed, emphases can really blossom into something much larger. Okay, another project example was the kind of similar to what Kate and Kevin were just sharing about. This was an earlier project where Eastern Oregon wanted to do accessibility assessments on the Hells Canyon Scenic Byway to really help understand what are the barriers that travelers with disabilities may experience along the byway, and what might we be able to do to improve those experiences. So this project, we worked with Eastern Oregon Visitors Association, was able to retain consultant disabled hikers. This was a pretty quick project over a couple months. Something I thought was very neat, like you can see here, for example, was the Hells Canyon Overlook. In this assessment, they found that was the most accessible wheelchair place on the entire byway. It had accessible picnic tables, vault toilets, paths, no accessible parking. So it's just how do we round out these destinations and thinking through that full picture. And so with this, small investment, they were able to really continue that momentum. They were able to get other partners involved, and they applied and received over $65,000 in Travel Oregon competitive grants to do additional assessments, continue to put that information on bluepath.org, which is also a consumer-facing website for folks with disabilities to travel. And then they were able to do trainings, specific tailored trainings to businesses, consumer-facing businesses in Eastern Oregon. Okay, another project, Panther Creek Mountain Bike Trail System. This is in Yamhill County. This is also Bureau of Land Management land. It does not currently have recreation designation. There's not a lot happening out on this land. It's been being used as a illegal dumping, shooting, but there was a vision, and it was identified in the Destination Ready program to develop specifically very bike optimized, so mountain bike specific, accessible mountain biking trails, 25 miles. And so again, really supporting the stakeholder development, bringing in a consultant to do feasibility, concepting, design. This was over a year project. Really with this momentum the organization was able to actually come together, the folks that had been on the ground, the bike advocates and some of the folks, you know, the economic development folks, all coming together, were able to actually get their 501c3 status and to be their own organization, which is the Cycle Yamhill County. And they were just really able to do a lot of public engagement, build a lot of momentum, and they were actually able to get the ear of our Senator Merkley, sorry. And so Senator Merkley is the chair of the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee, and he was very excited about this project and was able to put it in the Interior Environment spending bill for fiscal year 25, actually at $3.1 million. And so this did lose some momentum, and it was very unfortunate. It looked like it potentially was not moving forward, again, because that is not a recreation designated land parcel. They were having some big challenges to really move it forward. Fortunately, we have received information that that is now being put into the bill for fiscal year 26. They just met recently. It has gone out of committee, so there is a lot of momentum, which is encouraging, and there should be some, hopefully, more movement on it this month, and we're following that and should know more. But again, I think it's just an amazing example of showing how we can help continue to support these local projects that are being identified and how we can spur those into something much greater than we could ever contribute to. And $3.1 million would really create this whole system and get it built in hopefully a short amount of time. So it'd be pretty amazing for this destination and for Oregon overall. Okay, last but not least, I wanted to share about the Yamhill Rivers Access Project. This is also in Yamhill County. It's a kind of like process project that had been identified for quite a while from a lot of stakeholders who are feeling like there is a lot of amazing river potential within their communities, but there's not a lot of access. There's not a lot of accessible access. There's a lot of what people call social trails. They're illegal, they're dangerous, and just what an amazing opportunity. So this was a project to help them dive in to really analyze the feasibility of what those potential sites might be, and bring all the key stakeholders together. So working with the cities of Dayton, Lafayette, McMinnville, Sheridan, and Willamina, and you can see the Oregon Marine Board, et cetera. And so this process took about a year as well. And then with the momentum from this, which was really great, we were able to help them apply and receive a National Park Service technical assistance grant. So there's not actually funding, but again, it's a deeper technical assistance program that provides them up to 2 years potentially with that more on the ground engineering support, really assessing these sites, really diving deeper in with the communities and doing that public engagement. And so that is really actually finally just kicking off. They're doing their site visits in a couple of weeks. And I'm actually hoping to join them on a couple of those. Because a part of this work that's been sometimes challenging, but also very exciting, is that it's really hard to continue to follow the evolution of these projects because there's just so many. And you can see that we provide this initial support, and then they can really blossom and continue to evolve over time. And so it's just, it's been a privilege to get to do that. And like I said, sometimes a challenge because you don't always get to see where they go. And there's a lot of amazing stuff happening out there. And it's hard to keep track of it all. So with that, I just want to say thank you again. And if you have any questions about those projects.
Stodge, thank you. Great work, great presentation. Commissioners, any questions or comments for Stodge?
I will forever look at you and think of the 10-year strategic vision. And if I haven't thanked you, I imagine sitting here now in 2025 and seeing how it's embedded in everything that we do. And I know it was so much work. I hope you see the contribution that you made to that project. I know so many others did, but you did such remarkable work. And it's exciting to see that your passion is still comes forth in this really great work. So I I was struck by the fact that the work that's being done here, and as kind of you referenced, just small buckets of dollars, change people's lives and change communities. And I think that's the work when we get to sit here in a privileged spot of hearing these things. It's you, it's the DMOs, it's the people in the communities that do the work, but it's one of the reasons I'm so proud to be an Oregonian and really proud to be part of this organization and the work that you do. So well done.
Thank you.
I've got Travis, David.
Okay.
Travis, why don't you jump in first this
Sure.
time?
Great presentation. Actually, we're working on a project in Canyonville similar to some of these concepts here with 99 acres of walking paths and then another 400 acres possible for mountain bikes. You'd mentioned the statistic of 40% visitors would prefer a printed material. Is there a demographic on that, age demographic, or is that just in general?
That's a great question. I would have to point to Michael on that to dive deeper on that, probably. Or did somebody else say that? No. So I could probably follow up and get that for you. And I know that specific visitor guide study is a bit old, but I know we're looking at doing that again. But that data is also pulled from our visitor profile. I will say, though, with that, I do have, again, I don't have them right in front of me, but some like quotes and statistics from some other like newspapers and whatnot over the years that I've collected. Even I think it was just a couple years ago, saying that actually a lot of younger generations that you wouldn't be surprised necessarily in this digital age are actually preferring going to maps, though, like printed materials, because we're so overstimulated, I think, and there's so much, I don't know, what's the word, like diluted information in a way that we almost crave and seek out this
Nostalgic
information
type,
that feels very authentic and real to a destination where, like actual people in the local community were working on this very hard to get done. And so I think people are still seeking that out. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Stodge, thank you for your presentation and for your work, and I'm really impressed. I also wanted to state I'm one of the 40% that prefer a printed map, so thank you. What really struck me through the presentation and in reading it is how it really aligns with tourism that is at a regenerative level, and there's the equity portion of social events and also just enhancing that awareness of our natural habitat and environment, culture, and social activities. So thank you for really highlighting the regenerative aspect in alignment with our strategic plan.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I thought it was a great presentation as well. Thank you. And I wish there was some way we could track and monitor the number of projects that have either been completed successfully and or what's still in progress, because I think that's an important piece. And you probably already do this on certain projects, but whether it be to the communities or other elected officials, it's a piece that we can use in any of our community strategies that will help Travel Oregon tremendously. So I hope that we give that some thought in terms of, as we move forward in terms of that tracking and doing a better job of measuring that. But incredible work, and I've seen the results of the team's effort myself personally.
Any other questions or comments at this time?
Sure, a quick one. Thank you for the presentation. I was struck by your acknowledgement that sometimes communities are shackled by lack of capacity. And it sounds like you step in some of these instances, and you're helping from the ground level of you see a need, you're adding capacity, formulating a plan for the community, and those areas that you're helping all the way through, and thank you for that. A lot of communities have ideas and space and land, and they don't know what to do with it. It sounds like you're really making that happen all the way through. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, and so I'll just give a quick plug, actually. We are launching Recreation Ready, which is a newer program. It's had one cycle, and the next cycle is coming out, and it opening for letters of intent October 1st. So you've maybe seen it teased in our industry e-news, but if you have projects that you feel like that you know of within your destinations and your communities that need this kind of more hands-on technical assistance, it's a two-phased approach. It's building off this Destination Ready program. It's really specific to outdoor recreation projects, but it's that extra step. So it's like our grants are amazing, and that fills a huge void in the state in supporting these projects, but one's just tailored a little bit different. So it provides not only investments and funding, but a whole phase just dedicated to planning and technical assistance to really help them get to that next step. So yeah. A little teaser.
Sorry, please.
I just want to reiterate, I completely agree with Commissioner Pendleton that if there was a way to track this better, we have communities that don't understand the value of of tourism, and there's always a question about a grab for TLT dollars. And I think now is the time to remind people the value of that. I live in rural Oregon, and so a lot of these projects that you talked about touch rural Oregon, and these projects not only help the tourists, but they also help the communities, which drive economic development. And I know I'm talking to a group of people that totally understand that, but to remind people of that and the value of that, I think becomes even more critical as we move forward. So thank you for mentioning that, Commissioner Pendleton.
Stodge, thank you
Yeah.
very, very much. Appreciate it.
Thank
Good
you all so
presentation.
much.
Yeah. Commissioners, our closing presentation today is about building inclusive pathways and ways that we're engaging with both our tribal nations as well as the LGBTQIA+ communities as well. And a lot has been said, and as Lisa's getting settled, I'll just share. A lot's been shared today about our 10-year strategic vision and our destination stewardship approach. And of course, part of that destination stewardship approach is that one of the three lenses that we're carrying our work out through is the lens of racial equity. And one of the objectives, one of the four objectives then within that 10-year vision is that Oregon is striving to be a place of equity. And so with that, I'm very proud to have Lisa here today to give us an update on work that Travel Oregon is doing in partnership with the tribes, in partnership with the LGBTQIA+ community, and with certainly the industry on advancing those objectives. So with that, Lisa, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, Todd. Thank you so much. Commissioner Willits and fellow commissioners, just really appreciate the opportunity to present to you this afternoon, and appreciated some time with you personally this morning as we walked part and learned a little bit more about the Amanda Trail. So I'm here today, as Todd mentioned, to talk to you about elevating voices of underserved communities, with a focus on our work alongside Oregon's tribes and our LGBTQIA+ partners. At Travel Oregon, this work is not an isolated initiative. It's part of our core work, a central thread woven through our biennial plan and our 10-year vision. Both call on us to grow tourism in ways that are equitable, inclusive, and more importantly, community-driven. By listening deeply and building authentic partnerships, we ensure the Oregon story we share with the world reflects the full richness and diversity of this place and the people who call it home. This presentation will walk you through how we're advancing that vision, the progress so far, and what's next as we continue to move this work forward. Oregon is home to 9 Oregon tribes. This work is so important because tribal nations are not just communities within Oregon. They are sovereign governments, each with their own culture, traditions, and histories. Travel Oregon's role is to engage in respectful partnerships, listening first, and supporting projects that honor tribal sovereignty, cultural preservation, and economic development through tourism. By working together, we ensure Oregon's tourism story includes and uplifts the voices of the original stewards of this land. Our work with Oregon's 9 tribes began with something very simple but essential: listening. In 2006, the original Tribal Tourism Leadership Committee was formed and resulted in our first Oregon's Guide to Indian Country. After a few years, unfortunately, that group disbanded, and it wasn't until 2019 that when Travel Oregon staff met with each tribe individually, that work was able to get restarted. We focused on showing up. We focused on building relationships and supporting visibility for tribal tourism and culture priorities. Where we are today is very different than where we started. We now have formalized partnerships with all 9 tribes. We have a tribal tourism leadership committee, and we're co-creating projects. This journey is ongoing. Building trust is just not a one-time achievement. It's a commitment renewed with every project and with every conversation, and it's one of the most important ways Travel Oregon lives its values of inclusivity and community-driven tourism. In the past 6 years, the Tribal Leadership Committee has grown in a powerful space for collaboration. What's most exciting is that this group is creating a model for how state agencies and sovereign tribal nations can work side by side, shaping Oregon's tourism future in a way that, again, is more inclusive, authentic, and very enduring. So let me tell you what's been happening. We continue to contract with Michelle Liberty. She owns Attitude Marketing and is our tribal liaison. Michelle is an enrolled member of the Confederated Tribes of Umatilla Indian Reservation, and we have had the opportunity to work with Michelle since 2019. In 2019, committee members were designated from each tribe, and those representatives have actually had limited turnover, which has been great, and advise on how we work responsibly and respectfully and how we move this work forward. The committee has been meeting monthly, I can't believe it, for the past 6 years. And post-COVID, we started meeting twice annually in person. Meetings are used to discuss strategic priorities, hear updates, and opportunities for collaboration with Travel Oregon staff, and hear updates from other industry partners. In March 2022, our Tribal Leadership Committee and a few Travel Oregon staff traveled to Pendleton for our first in-person meeting. During a snowstorm, I might add, and amazingly enough, every tribe and every staff member made it. This was very important work to each and every one of them. As part of that meeting, the group's first 3 strategic priorities were born. The first was having a memorandum of understanding signed between Travel Oregon and all of Oregon's 9 tribes. I am very proud to say we currently have 7 of the 9 signed and 2 remaining in progress. I must say this is very special because it goes beyond partnership. It's about honoring sovereignty and committing to a long-term relationship built on respect. Each MOU formalizes what we've been working toward, collaboration that is not just transactional, but grounded in trust, reciprocity, and shared goals. It means that when we move forward with tourism initiatives, we do so as true partners, with clarity, accountability, and as recognition of the unique voices and leadership of each tribe. This step is actually historic for Travel Oregon. It ensures that tribal perspectives are not just included, but centered in the future of tourism across our state. As you can tell, this is very important work to me. The second initiative was bringing back the Guide to Oregon Indian Country. We not only brought it back, but it was so popular, we did a second print run, and the guide also won an award with U.S. Travel's ESTO, and we are now working with the 3rd edition. In the last year or so, I wanted to give you a quick snapshot. We've had about 36,000 bulk orders, visitors centers, tribal casinos, hotels, and we have had almost 23,000 individual orders. We've had a lot of strong and consistent interest from both individuals and organizations. We've had broad reach across the United States. Just to name a few, Oregon, Washington, California, Texas, Florida, Idaho, Arizona, and what I thought was really interesting was the Midwest too, Minnesota, Illinois, Michigan. We are so excited, and hopefully at another time we'll be able to preview this new guide, which will come out in December. The 3rd initiative was signage. I heard Staj talk about a few of her initiatives. Signage can be difficult, it can be a long process, and it's something that this group continues to work on. But outside of those 3 priorities, this group also created projects and partnerships. The committee identified early on the importance of sharing with Oregonians and visitors the economic impact tribes make. especially to our rural economies. In partnership with Travel Oregon's brand stewardship team, we had an opportunity to showcase that messaging with paid media programming on KATU's Channel 2's AM Northwest program. 5 of our 9 tribal partners participated, and we'd like to show you one of those clips, which highlights the cultural richness and economic contributions tribes bring to our
The
state.
following segment is sponsored by Travel Oregon.
Welcome back to AM Northwest. The Confederated Tribes of the Umatilla Indian Reservation are a thriving community near Pendleton. Here to tell us more, we welcome Bobby Connor, Director at the Temasclet Cultural Institute, along with Gary E. George, CEO at Wild Horse Resort and Casino. Good to have you both with us.
Thank you.
First of all, I just want to talk about the Umatilla tribe. Tell me about your tribe.
The Confederacy is made up of the Cayuse, Umatilla, and Walla Walla peoples.
Okay.
The Confederacy was arranged by the United States government in 1855 at a treaty council, but our tribes are linguistically related and have been in the same homeland for eons.
Wow.
In Northeast Oregon and Southeast Washington.
Wow, that's incredible history there. Yeah. And then the Wild Horse Casino. Tell me about what it is about the Wild Horse Casino that you love and helps the Umatilla tribe.
Oh, we're in our 30th year of business right now, and we started back in 1995, and we've created a lot of jobs for our local communities, and the impact from the casino and the revenues from gaming have really supported a lot of development on the Umatilla Indian Reservation.
Such as?
We're making a family destination type resort, which has a bowling alley, a Cineplex, RV park. We own 2 golf courses. We're building another hotel tower, so we'll have 2 towers in 2027. But we're just growing, and the impact that we make in our community, not only through revenue, but we take that revenue and redistribute it to the community. So gaming in Indian country is governmental gaming. It's not commercial gaming. So all the money that we generate goes back into the community.
It's changed lives, hasn't it?
Absolutely. The casino was a game changer for Indian country all across the United States, but in our neighborhood specifically, we found some new friends. Bankers wanted to be our new best friends.
Love it.
And that made building other businesses and construction projects possible because of the financing. And that's how the casino contributed to the actual development of the Temasclet Cultural Institute. Our tribal museum is an $11 million facility that was made possible because people wanted to be our new best friends.
Right. What can we see at the museum?
You can learn about the ancient culture that we have sustained us for thousands of years on the Columbia River Plateau. You can learn about who we are today and what our hopes for the future are. We have 45,000 square feet of places to tell stories, including coyote stories and our stories of origin, as well as all of the things the tribe's doing today in our economy.
And I know there's some traditions that you like to also show people, right?
One of our traditions is hospitality.
Yeah, there you go.
We've been welcoming visitors since Lewis and Clark came to our neighborhood in 1805.
Wow.
So,
but will visitors be able to see some traditional, like dances and that kind of thing?
Absolutely. So it depends on when you come. There are all kinds of events that are sponsored. Wild Horse hosts a 4th of July powwow that brings dancers from all over the West to compete. During the Pendleton Roundup, we are present and visible the entire week. And at Temasclet Cultural Institute, you can come in and meet our staff and eat in the cafe and have huckleberry treats in the cafe. We have a salmon-inspired and wild game-inspired menu. And you can visit the exhibits, which have not only our music and our teachings, but the voices of our elders and our languages.
It's important, though, for tourists to understand that we need to be respectful, right?
Absolutely.
Tell me about that.
Well, the tribe has its customs and its traditions that they like to safeguard, and it's always kind of a fine line that we as a business have to walk as we portray tribal culture and what we do, even for the powwow and how things might turn out. Our powwow is more, as they would define, as a commercial powwow, where we award money for the best dancers, the best drummers, and so forth. But throughout the year, we have a variety of different cultural festivities, that first foods, for example, the first coming of the roots, salmon and so forth, that are part of our traditions. And we have a longhouse, a traditional longhouse, that we have a lot of different events about every other weekend throughout the year. So.
Wow, incredible. Well, we want to encourage our viewers to check out the Wild Horse Resort and Casino, also the Temescal Cultural Institute. Do that as well. We're going to put all that information for you on our website at KATU.com. Thank you both so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest. Don't go away.
So as we look ahead with our work with Oregon's 9 tribes, what's next? It's about moving from individual projects to sustain long-term partnerships and projects that really impact all 9 tribes. So next steps, focusing on newly defined strategic priorities, as you see on the slide, bringing to life the MOUs I mentioned earlier and ensuring that they are living documents that drive collaborations and it isn't just a signature on a piece of paper. Building stronger relationships between RDMOs and Oregon tribal partners. We're very excited that our RDMO partners around the state are very interested in this work. I would be remiss if we didn't call out the OCFA team and the team at Visit Central Oregon. They have really taken strides forward to really making more deeper and more personal impact and relationships in this space. So I'm very proud of the work that they're doing. Investing in projects like training and education that celebrate culture, history, stewardship, and of course, always led by the tribe themselves. This work isn't always without learning opportunities. I had the opportunity to visit the Klamath tribe this summer. We visited Collier State Park, which includes some sacred tribal lands for the tribe. We learned, unfortunately, some guides and outfitters and other visitors are unfortunately not respecting the land, and we actually saw it firsthand. This really gave us an opportunity to step back and really understand the tribe's hesitation towards tourism, but it also gave us an opportunity to open up more dialogue and more conversations and how we can work better together to assist in this problem and or others. We're currently having conversations with the tribe and also Travel Oregon's Destination Services team to see if there are opportunities to have tribally led trainings pre-2026 season with our Oregon Y Guides. Of course, we would love to have other partners, state parks, Oregon Marine Boards, other land managers as we figure out this opportunity. So what's next? It's about making sure tribal voices continue to be at the center of Oregon's tourism work. Our work with Oregon's 9 tribes remind us that when we listen first and we center voices that have historically been left out, we create a tourism future that is stronger, more authentic, and more inclusive. The same commitment extends to our partnerships with the LGBTQIA+ community. Just as with our tribal partners, it's about ensuring all voices are not only welcome to the table, but empowered to shape the story of Oregon tourism. By elevating voices, we move closer to Travel Oregon's vision of a state, where the richness of every community is celebrated and honored. This year, Travel Oregon had the opportunity to celebrate Pride across Oregon. We were a proud sponsor of 18 events across the state. We actually had the opportunity to sponsor the event in Yachats this year, so excited to be here in this community. From our largest celebrations in Portland and Eugene to smaller and more rural communities where Pride is just beginning to take place. Why is this important? Because these events are more than festivals. They are spaces of visibility, belonging, and community. Supporting Pride helps show that Oregon is a place where everybody feels welcome, whether you live here or you're visiting from across the world. It also strengthens our partnership with LGBTQIA+ leaders, organizations, and ensuring their voices help us guide how we shape Oregon's tourism story. The positive impact of our investment and community partnership was highly valued. We were able to amplify Oregon's inclusive brand. By sponsoring 18 Pride events, Travel Oregon reinforces a clear message: Oregon is a welcoming and inclusive destination for all. This deepens the state's reputation as a tourism brand rooted in diversity and belonging. We were able to drive economic growth through cultural tourism. Arts, culture, and community events consistently drive economic activity in Oregon. Culturally rich events like Pride attract both local and non-local attendees who spend money on lodging, food, and other services, boosting the vibrancy and resilience of our local economies. Strengthening community partnerships. Sponsorships signal Travel Oregon's commitment to building partnerships with the LGBTQIA leaders and organizations. They create bridges between tourism leaders and community advocates, which inform culturally resonant initiatives and shape inclusive storytelling. We're also able to support event viability and accessibility. Pride celebrations, especially in rural communities, require substantial resources to remain safe, accessible, and welcoming. Sponsorship helps cover key elements like infrastructure, accessibility features, and programming, ensuring events are inclusive and well executed. Here are a few quotes from our partners. Because of Travel Oregon's investment in Lake Oswego Pride, we were able to hire an ASL interpreter to make our event more accessible. Because of the support from Travel Oregon, Monmouth Pride was really able to shine. We are so excited to see this partnership flourish. Because of your investment, Columbia Gorge Pride was able to successfully stand up 5 Pride events across the gorge during the month of June. As we move forward, we are hopeful our collaboration with the LGBTQIA communities will evolve from just event-based support to a more deep, long-term partnership aimed at enhancing visibility, representation, and belonging across Oregon. We are currently starting to follow up with all of our Pride partners. We want to better understand what their success was, who their attendees were, where they came from, and we also have heard in these conversations that there is interest in putting together regional convenings with our Pride partners. They're eager to have more conversations with us, and we are eager to better understand what their needs are and how Travel Oregon can show up for them. As you can see, whether it's with Oregon's 9 tribes, LGBTQIA plus communities, or other partners across the state, our work is much more than about tourism. It's about building trust, honoring diverse voices, and shaping a future for Oregon that is welcoming, authentic, and inclusive. With that, I just want to thank you for your time together and for joining us in this journey. Together, we can ensure that every story, every community, and every visitor has a place at the Oregon table. So thank you so much.
Really well said, Lisa. Thank you. Commissioners, questions or comments for Lisa?
Great presentation. Thank you. I think we can all see that you're very invested in this work as it relates to the tribal piece. And that's the part I think I love the most. You know, anytime you have Bobby in your presentation, it speaks volume. There's no one in the state that welcomes people and seek to help to educate and expose them to the tribal piece than her. So I was glad to see that. You mentioned the 7 of 9. It was great to see. You said, hey, great, we've got 7 working, but we're still in process. And so that's very refreshing to hear. And also I just wanted to, and Todd knows this better than anyone. We took a trip to Japan to a trade show, and a group from Warm Springs went with us, and incredible dance, and sharing at the trade show. But what was interesting enough is that it wasn't just about tourism and attracting people, groups to come back to the Warm Springs, but there were some other business opportunities that they were able to leverage, and that's the piece I think is very important. So when we think of the tribal piece, we have to understand as well the work that we do to help as one of those pillows to attract businesses to this area, to create jobs, the families, help with the education. We can go right down the line. It is a collaborative effort, and that's for myself. I would personally like to see us move that direction where we're looking to be and thinking about the advantages of being more collaborative, because if we're doing something that's creating more jobs, if we're doing things that's going to help families, communities, that's the piece we need to elevate more regarding the work that Travel Oregon does. So, but thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that, David.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Lucinda.
Lisa, I'm going to try to do this. You got emotional, so I'm going to try to do this without crying as well. Travis and I have both had the great privilege of serving on this committee with you. And when you talk about 7 of the 9 tribes that have signed an MOU, when you talk about listening and building trust, and when you tell this group of people that Travel Oregon gets calls all the time from other state agencies because Travel Oregon is the model for how to work with tribes. And that work started in 2019, and here we are in 2025, and it's a really big deal. The fact we talk about doing what's right, the right thing. We've had that conversation today with other topics. It's another perfect example of course it's the right thing to do. They're the first people on this landscape. Of course we should be telling their stories as well. And again, we lead in this space. And so whether it's tribes, whether it's the work that we do with the LGBTQ plus community, I'm so proud of the work that you and the committee has done. I'm super excited to see what we continue to do. But kudos to Travel Oregon for being where we are today with 7 MOUs. And I'm just really proud of the work that you've done. Thanks.
Lisa, I want to thank you for your work and for your passion. And you can feel it in the presentation that you shared, so thank you. On today's hike, we also heard and I think felt that passion from the Chief Barrett, who really honored the tribes, and he honored the differences and the diversity in language, spoken, and in cultures. And I was really struck by that, and how there's been work done to bring the community together to move forward in the great work that's being done, that we experienced under our feet on the trail today. That was just so powerful. And so I'm really struck by the work that's being done here, that within Travel Oregon and the communities that are being touched, that are inclusive and engaging communities. But I also want to push us to really think about diversity and including the word diversity in the work that we're doing, and celebrating our differences. And I think these times we feel sensitive to that. And so I'm proud of the diversity within Oregon amongst its people and its community and its landscape, and amongst the LGBTQI plus people. And so I encourage us to really include diversity moving forward. Thank you.
That's great feedback. Thank you.
I just want to applaud you for all the work you've done, and appreciate just the person you are. I've had a chance to really get to know you, over the last few years, and we've had some really cool experiences. I think part of the process, also coming in and not asking the questions. You've been an ambassador for Travel Oregon and for the tribes going through this process, and I feel like there's a lot of opportunity moving forward. There's been a lot of groundwork laid, and so I know that with the work that we're continuing to work on, I really feel like you have been kind of the catalyst, and as well as some of the other Travel Oregon teams have gone to our different locations as we meet, because each tribe, when you look at tribes, they're all unique in their own ways, in their own regions, cultures, and aspects. And I think that the approach you've taken is we appreciate everything you've done. So thank you.
Thanks, Travis.
Sorry, I have one more thing to say. I know you're shocked. The power of the fact that Travel Oregon is going to bring, hopefully, the Marine Board, the parks, all of those people together when you talk about the guide and outfitters and some of the challenges that the Klamath tribe is facing. That's my next challenge to you, Lisa, is to get all of those people together to fix that problem. Because again, when you talk about building trust, clearly you've built the trust, and now we can get other state agencies to help get the good work done.
You got it.
And we're on it. Scott, Lisa, thank you. It's the work that you do is so hard. It's slow, it's thoughtful, it's methodical, and it's exciting to get to be part of this volunteer body who not only recognizes and applauds that, but then encourages you to do more, to work harder, to embrace diversity further, to bring more agencies together. It really is remarkable, this unyielding force that is Travel Oregon, that is the Oregon Tourism Commission, to do hard work like you do. So thank you.
I just appreciate you guys trusting me with this work, so that means a lot, Scott.
Jen?
Yeah, thank you. I know that it is hard work, and I think sometimes we want to rush things, and I know that you've been committed to it for a while, and it's hard to be thoughtful when you're rushing. And so thank you for taking the time and being willing to be the conduit for these organizations that do need to come to the table together and address some troubling things. So I know that the long haul is not the fun haul all the time. So just thank you, and know that you have a lot of support, and just, we're here.
Thanks, Jen.
If I could add one other point, and I really, really appreciated this part of the presentation expressing the safety and the inclusiveness of the work that's being done. And by broadcasting that work, it'll further opportunities, and I say opportunities, for international visitors. And we've read the stats. We're down in visitors from Canada, and that includes we're down from visitors attending LGBTQIA+ events, and to be further assured of the safety and the inclusiveness and the support of that is important, and I think that will open up opportunities for more inbound international visitors. So thank you for that work, and I know that the regions that Travel Oregon supports with these Pride events will appreciate that.
It was a really cool learning opportunity, when I started picking up the phone to understand there were events in Canby and in Silverton and Yachats, and it is great. We have some amazing events in Salem and Portland and Eugene and Bend, but to seeing more of these events happening in rural Oregon and what it means to these communities. So I think in the last couple of months, again, I was really picking up the phone and introducing myself and meeting with these partners. They are super excited to hear from Travel Oregon, learn more about Travel Oregon. So I'm very excited just to continue that collaboration and that partnership. So appreciate that.
Thank you.
Any other comments or questions at this time? All right, not seeing any. Lisa, again, thank you very much. Not just for your presentation, for your good work. So thanks. With that, Chair Willits, it's my pleasure to turn the program back over to you.
All right, that concludes our amazing staff presentations. Thank you all for sharing those with us today. Commissioners, do you have any other business or announcements?
Chair Willits,
yes.
Congratulations on your first commission meeting.
Thank
Thank you for your leadership.
Thank you.
Great job.
Yeah. All right, thank you. I just want to say real quick, I just experienced an evacuation level 3 at my home, and It was a quick fire that came up, and as quick as it came up, the governor's conflagration declaration allowed so many resources to hit our region. And within 24 hours, we had over 800 firefighters and dozers and machines and all the things you want to see if you're standing on your roof, putting sprinklers up there, plugging your gutters so that they're flooded and embers don't land in them. And we were directly in that path. Two wonderful things. My wife and I and my entire family completely aligned on what was important, and none of it was valuable to anybody else in this room. It was all the intimate, fun family things. And two, we relied on these people. I don't have knowledge in how to put out a fire, and it was very humbling to see, frankly, two of my friends go in my neighborhood and protect homes. And they gave me videos, and they stopped that fire, along with a little rain dancing from Todd. And I'm honest about that. He said it, and we had nothing in the forecast, no moisture, and it rained that next morning. So Todd has a bit of power there. But those firefighters really put themselves in harm's way to save my home, and I'm very thankful for that. And I am now hyper aware of the dangers of wildfires in the West and in general. I'm really just straight thankful for the energy that went in there. And anybody living in these zones, please make sure your house is safe, and we're going to do a lot of work this winter to make ours even more safe. But thank you to the state and to firefighters for assisting my town and my neighborhood. And we did lose one home, but they saved a whole lot of homes. So thank you. What'd you say? Oh, yes. Tomorrow, September 12th, the commission meeting will be held here at the Yachats Commons, starting at 9 a.m., and we look forward to seeing you there. I'd like to thank again the staff for the wonderful briefings and their passion and their energy. You guys do an amazing job every day, and you're in the right place to help this state. And with that said, we are adjourned. Thank you.